for us, being able to speak to candidates for a prolonged amount of time, answering sensitive questions that they wouldn't actually go to someone else for. It helps a lot.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And are there quite a lot of you who are mentors within the Met Police, or is it selected?
Yeah, no, we do. So as if you join the Metropolitan Police, even from the beginning, from the application process, we provide you with a budding scheme. We kind of help you with not help you with the application, kind of we guide you through what you need to do. Obviously, not everyone's language is English, so we do have people that speak other languages where English written work is not as confident. They're not as confident as if they were brought up here. So we look for people who speak a second language, which always helps. So yeah, no, definitely we kind of guide you as much as we can. We can't help you through the whole process, but we can guide you as much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really wonderful that you can help people with other languages as well.
No, definitely.
How many languages are there that could be translated for people when they're getting their mentoring?
That's a very tricky question. Yeah. So we do, a lot of officers that we have employed at the moment speak a second language. I speak a second language. Naz, who's coming on, she speaks about 4 different languages. So yeah, we're always looking for people that speak a second language. Obviously, London is a diverse community, and we have people that speak Romanian to Urdu to Farsi. Yeah, so yeah, and it always helps. It just means that we're not calling someone else or a family, where you can have an officer on the borough that can actually speak the language and kind of communicate, and it kind of breaks that bond between the communities as well.
Yeah, that's really wonderful, because we have so many different languages, so many cultures in the UK.
Yeah.
Translate good news and bad news in another language.
Definitely.
So that's wonderful. I do also have another question about we kind of covered this with mentoring, but what support is available aside from mentoring when you first join the Met?
So when you first join the Met, obviously you do have a buddy. However, with your class, you have a sergeant who's there within the learning and development program. So that person is also a point of contact. And within your borough that you're working in, you can actually speak to an officer from CID, or you can speak to an officer from TSG, a department that may use certain policing powers that you're not using yet or want to learn about. You can do attachments. Attachments mean, for me, I go to a response team and be there for a certain amount of time to develop my skills in certain places. There's professional development reviews, which is a PDR. It's consistent. We get that going every single year. It's about your aspirations, where you want to be, what skills you want to learn. It's a lot about career development within the Met.
Yeah, that's really wonderful, because that's ultimately where we want to end up, is the next step in our career. So it's really important that you're learning that from the start and developing that from the start, right? Yeah.
Of course, it's good.
Yeah. And moving on then to the roles themselves. I imagine there's lots of different roles within the police, but could you maybe tell us the difference between a PC and a PCSO, for example?
I'll let Naz do the PCSO, because she'll tell me off if I try to take her shot.
Maybe PC, and then we'll...
Yeah, like PC is a broad term, because obviously when you come into policing, you're a PC, uniform constable, police constable, or you're a detective constable, which is non-uniform. We've all seen Luther, we understand what that's about. But as a PC, it's more the first contact with the public or victim or suspect. If something happens, i.e. a stabbing, we're there first. We respond to the call, the 999 call. We're taking the statements, the witness statements. We're doing everything, recovering the knife. We're getting scenes of crimes officers to go there. But then the detective is the secondary investigation. So they'll be finding out where the suspect's phone was pinging, or all these type of other intricate investigation things where we don't do what we can do, but they're more trained after their national investigators exam.
Okay, so
There's a big difference. It goes to 2 different T's.
And also within, obviously, if you join as a PC, we have literally over 3,000 different roles within the Metropolitan Police. So even as a PC, you can go into the forensic unit, you can go on to dogs unit, horses, marine. The list goes on, literally on and on. So even with as a police officer, there are different kind of opportunities for you to get into. Yeah, I would say about up to 3,000 roles. Yeah.
But for us as PCs, we can do an exam, the National Investigators exam, and then go to be a detective. Whereas the transition from detective to PC is not really something we know about, or doesn't really happen, because that side of work, once you get into it, The horizons, yeah, it's changed. It's changed, yeah.
So do you think in that respect then you've sort of got it better in the sense that you could go and do detective work if you wanted to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus you have this list of 3,000 roles.
Yeah.
It's
There's so many roles that people don't know.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And does this kind of go over, I guess, different areas? So could someone maybe work as a police officer in an airport, for example, someone else in?
Yeah.
All different kind of.
I've got friends in airports. I've got friends that work within prisons as intelligence officers. I've got friends that do covert, so you never see them or they never post online. Yeah, I've got friends everywhere in terms of the fact that there's so many different roles that aren't advertised, aren't glorified, aren't getting a time of day. It's just the uniform. As soon as people see the uniform, they're like, police officer. But other than that, there's people that deal with our social media.
So it could be a case of, someone's walking, with their uniform on, but they're not necessarily doing the role that you think is being done.
Yeah.
They could be, like you said, being covert. This is a term that I hadn't actually heard of. So
Yeah.
so that's really, really cool. And then, yeah, I guess what made you want to become a PC or a PSO?
Yeah, so we went over it. So I think for us, everyone has their own individual kind of aspirations of why you wanted to become a police officer. Some people who are generational police officers, so their granddad's a police officer, their dad was a police officer, or their mum's. So it kind of automatically falls into they wanted to be a police officer. For me, it's a different reason. Hopefully my children might follow in my footsteps, they might not, but everyone has different aspirations. Some people only want to kind of join the police because it's a uniform, they like wearing uniform, or I don't know, kind of the jobs some people only focus on when they join the police. They only want to go into firearms, and that is their ambition, is just to go into firearms. And so everyone has different kind of aspirations of why they want to join the police.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Anything to add to that, Caleb?
I mean, I didn't want to believe. I never in life thought I was going to be a police officer. I never thought I'd be here wearing uniform. It was a funny conversation with family when I told them. I mean, none of us ever looked at me being a police officer. In school, I wasn't the greatest kid. I'm a kinetic learner. I was walking around and talking to people, but somehow I learnt legislation just enough to pass the exams, and I'm here. And the nicest thing about it is I can now pass that on to someone else and explain to them, you don't need to be a typical A-star student. You can be a police officer through IPLDIP and other pathways which show that it's more of a vocation rather than an academic course.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We're all so different. We have different strengths in different places.
Yeah.
So for example, I went to uni and studied languages, which
Oh.
has very little to do with what I do now. But could I have done this without a degree? Yeah, I could have. So the pathways for all of us are just so different, and I think that's what's so brilliant about all these sessions today.
Yeah.
But also, 3,000 roles in the police
It's a
force is
joke.
just incredible.
So many.
Yeah.
And they're still creating more based on public demand.
Yeah, and there's absolutely something for everyone. Is all we
Definitely,
can all
there's
take
something for
away.
everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we do, I think, have this lovely presentation
Yep.
just
Yeah.
up on the screen. So we are going to go through a couple of these slides. Who would like to start?
All right, the starting salary, I've got the mic. Starting salary of between 31,500 on the Met Officer Gateway program and 33,500 for all other routes. You'll get 22 days paid annual leave, rising to 30 days a year depending on your length of service. This is on top of public holidays and average 2 rest days a week. On and off duty, you'll be entitled to free travel on London Underground and buses, plus heavily discounted rail travel up to 70 miles from central London. You can travel to Folkestone for free, or serious. Flexible working opportunities include part-time, compressed hours and job shares to work around you once you finish your probation period. We have a lot of officers that are mothers or single parents, so we do flexible shift patterns where they work 2 days a week, but they make up the hours somewhere else. Things that people don't know. Met Baby provides enhanced support for expectant and new parents, offering advice on pregnancy, maternity, adoption and shared parental leave. Access to Blue Light Card, providing discounts at a variety of places, including restaurants, high street shops and days out. KFC's 20% off. I mean, that's that's enough for me. Nando's, it's amazing. You'll automatically become a member of the Police Pension Scheme 2015, which you and the Met will contribute to. So we have a great pension. I hear a lot of older people talking about it. I don't need to worry about it. I'm young. dedicated staff support associations who represent and support the needs and beliefs of other members. So we have many, like the Black Police Association, the Sikh Police Association, the Polish Police Association, Jewish, so there could be religion or it could be just a special group of officers which look out for the welfare of those officers. Access to a range of health and wellbeing support, including free fast-track physio. Development and mentoring schemes. So the development is the career development leads that are currently in our job who thrive on making sure that we get the best out of our careers. So this is the entry pathways. There's 4 of them. I'll just talk about Met Officer Gateway. So it's a 30-week, it's a academic course. So you do Monday to Friday within an institute. So it'll be Collindale Police Station or it'll be Sidcup. And you're learning about communication, you're learning about welfare and how to talk to witnesses and victims and suspects, how to take statements, your basic policing roles, of which then enable you to go to do the police constable degree apprenticeship. So that's more for people that haven't actually got the qualifications that they need to get into. And it's awards you 2 A levels and you also get paid whilst doing it, which is starting off at 31.5 grand. Normally jobs don't pay you until you actually fully start. Yeah, this is getting paid during training. So the 30 weeks is what, 7 months? And also on top of that, the eligibility, you have to be a British citizen, indefinite leave to remain, and also EU settled status. You have to have lived continuously in the UK for 3 years prior to joining. The PCDA, Police Constable Degree Apprenticeship, is a 3-year degree. That is more vocational because you're obviously mixing it as an apprenticeship. You're working practical and you're also doing classroom-based stuff. You've learned everything there is to learn about policing. I mean, for me, I can't sit down and listen to people. I have to do the job. Once I've learned the legislation, I have to utilize that. So it's not something I could have done. However, you study at Anglia Ruskin University, University of East London, University of West London, and Brunel University, obviously based on where you want to work in London. And you stay within that cluster and work with the colleagues that you started with in that area. So you stay with everyone, the teacher, for the 3-year process. At the end of it, you write a dissertation in regards to what professional policing practice can change and what you can do to help it. It's a very wordy entry route, but I can say you have to be 17 to 57 years old. You have to have GCSE languages, especially English, A to C, or 4 to 9 for the younger people. And we consider overseas qualifications. We don't have to have just the UK qualifications. There's a site where you can check it and see if it comes up. And the best thing about the PCDA is the degree that you're getting is paid for. You don't end up with a uni debt.
So it's fully funded by the Metropolitan Police for the whole 3 years, and you get paid as well while you're doing it. So it's always a bonus where you're getting paid 33,500 and you're getting your degree paid for as well. So a bit of a win-win.
Are all of these pathways, are these all available on a website?
Yep. So it's all on the website, on the Met Police website /careers. It goes through all the kind of processes that you need, qualifications, pretty much everything. Possibly no. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, thank you both so much.
No, thank you.
I do believe we've got your colleague Naz coming in there.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
21 years in Met. It's amazing. But yeah, thank you both so much for coming in. Thank you for having us. And also thank you to Heta as well.
Thank you.
We've had some really interesting conversations. So I will let us do the swap over. If you want to stay with us, Naz will be joining us very shortly. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
A great rest of the day, and keep up the amazing work that you do for all of us here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
London. Over 8.5 million people. Most don't really know us. They just know we're here, helping them sleep at night, keeping them safe, protected, away from the gangs, the drugs, the knives. But for some, for the 160,000 we arrest, they don't sleep so easy. We're the first through the door, catching the thieves, the muggers, the murderers. It can be the hardest job in London. But ask any of us why we do it, and we'll tell you we wouldn't do anything else. Because we're a team, getting it done, dealing with life, death, crime, and its victims 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each one different to the next. It's why we can't wait for our shift to start, and sometimes end. But knowing you're doing good, stopping others do bad, makes you feel proud. Taking care of family, friends, neighbours, London. It's the greatest reason in the world. Do something real. Become a police officer in London's Met.
Asma's 3 years younger than me. When she told me she was going to join the police force, I was really shocked. What are my friends going to say? Will she have to move out of their state? Racism. When people did find out she was a police officer, all my fears never materialised. I don't even think of how I used to think. Since she joined the Met, she's become this really confident young black Muslim woman. For me, I was really proud of her.
Sophia's my sister, and she was very shy and introverted as a child. I was extremely surprised when she wanted to be a police officer. I just couldn't imagine it. She wanted to help people. She wanted to help people and protect people, and she had the drive and determination to do that. It's a very hard job that she does, but she's always had support. Now I see a confident, strong, independent woman, a police sergeant, and she's only 27. My little sister is amazing.
Dominic is my grandson. I did fear for him, the racism, from getting it from black people and white people, but now not so much. Some family members didn't like the police, but they've changed their attitude. They realise that Dom wants to be a policeman and he wants to help make a difference. And he worked hard to get where he is, and I'm very proud of him.
London. Over 8.5 million people. Most don't really know us. They just know we're here, helping them sleep at night, keeping them safe, protected, away from the gangs, the drugs, the knives. But for some, for the 160,000 we arrest, they don't sleep so easy. We're the first through the door, catching the thieves, the muggers, the murderers. It can be the hardest job in London. But ask any of us why we do it, and we'll tell you we wouldn't do anything else. Because we're a team, getting it done, dealing with life, death, crime, and its victims. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each one different to the next. It's why we can't wait for our shift to start, and sometimes end. But knowing you're doing good, stopping others do bad, makes you feel proud. Taking care of family, friends, neighbours, London. It's the greatest reason in the world. Do something real. Become a police officer in London's Met. Search Met Police Careers.
Hello and welcome back to Pathways with the Police. I am here with the very wonderful Naz, who we just met moments ago, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about her experience working with the Met Police. So welcome, Naz.
Thank you very much. Welcome to you too.
Thank you very much. Would you like to start off by telling us a little bit about your role?
Sure. My name is Naz. I'm one of the police community support officer. I've been in the job for 21 years. I love my job. And when I've joined for Westminster Borough. I'm now based at Ilford Police Station for Ilford Town Safe and Able team.
Great stuff, fantastic. And what do you love about the job?
To be honest, I love my job. I love everything about my job. There's only one thing probably I don't like is writing a statement, which I hate it, and also standing on the crime scenes. But otherwise, my job is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
What's a real highlight for you then? Day to day, what's your favourite thing to do?
Every day is different. Every day is different. It's not something that I come and planning today, like I'm going to do this. I come, it's all unexpected. It's like more surprising and exciting because you don't know what you'll be dealing with, what's next things to do. So every day is different, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I know you just said every day is different, but what would a typical day look like?
Typical day, for example, if there was a crime scene, then you might be stuck in the crime scene for hours and hours, just standing there, making sure that no one could pass through the cordon, talking to members of public. But with me, I like to do a real job out there, reduce the crime, fight the crimes, and help the members of public. Yes. And statement, I'm not good at statement. I hate statements. No, not statement, no. No, I can't. No, I can't, because statement is important. It's partial of the evidence, isn't it? So it's really important. I can't escape it. Exactly. Yes, that's right. Enjoy everything. Everything.
And what would you say to someone who might be considering a job working for the Met?
I'll say to people, this is a brilliant job. Honestly, this is a brilliant job. It's a secure job. It's a government job with a high, good earning salary. It's also a job where you can do flexible shift pattern. You can do compressed hours. You can do part time, and the job is there to look after you and look after your needs and look after your requirements. This job, you benefit a lot out of it. For example, last couple of years ago, we had COVID. I was not in loss because I was still in the job. I was still getting paid. My financial managed well, and also my children, they were not out of loss of education because we were the key workers. So we benefit quite a lot from this job. And I'll say to people, if you're young and you want challenging, you want rewarding, you want to make a difference in the community, join this job. This is the job for you.
Yeah. And we were just talking to Hessel and also to
Mhm.
Leon about the variety of the roles, the 3,000 different roles that you could have. How would you say that your job is different to what both of those guys do?
Right, my job, because I'm a police community support officer, basically supporting the community, engaging with the community, build their trust, build their confidence, and also engage with them in different ways. So my job is non-confrontation job. It's just the same as a common law jobs where people get detained. But I still, with my job, I still do, I do youth engagement. We do multi-faith places, communicate with, engage with the leaders, community leaders. I do also a lot of crime prevention stalls, crime prevention talk, also do talks to elderly people, go to care home, residence home as well, provide all my safety talks in there. We also visit primary, secondary schools. So my job, I mean, I could sit here and spend hours about my job. My job is never endless. It's just so exciting. I look forward to come to work every day, and I'm passionate about my job.
Yeah, that's great, and it obviously it shows. When
Even
you
though-
you don't feel the energy.
No,
and passion.
I mean, energy, it boosts itself because
Yeah.
when you're doing something, honestly, I do 10 hours job, 10 hours a day. My shift is 10 hours a day, but I never get the time to look at my watch. I have got watch on, but I just don't get time to look at my watch because I'm so busy, and it's so exciting. In this job, you're actually learning something every day. You're gaining experience, knowledge, and also sharing this within your team. You're learning something new and also educating yourself. And this is a job for you where you can see a bright future. So if I wanted to go for a police officer job, I could. From there, I could take further promotions. But I decided to stay in this job because I love communicating with engagement and also bring up my all my knowledge and skills, share that with the community.
Yeah.
Community is important in my life.
Yeah, of course, and I feel like you're making such an impact on the community. You know, when you were talking about the talks that you do, the presentations you do, you're obviously out with the community, quite a lot.
I am at the moment. For example, we've got violence against women going on at the moment. So on that, I do a lot of work where I do evening shifts where I will gather a lot of local residents or vulnerable victims or vulnerable people. When I say violence against women, it's not just about women. Against men as well. So, but I'll get a lot of people coming in the evening. We'll go and identify hotspots areas and find out how we can help these people to be safe where they live and where they work. So that could be like poor street lighting. It could be the CCTV, all other things. Yeah. But with my job, I've dealt also with a lot of antisocial behavior, drugs, shoplifters, people who was wanted, and it's exciting, honestly.
Yeah, exciting is one word for it. Terrifying might be another.
I'm not,
People.
to be honest, I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. I'm a brave officer and I'm a very hard-working officer. And I've got backup. My backup is my Metropolitan Police, all my colleagues. One button, my colleagues will come run to me. And I know I'm safe. And before that, you have to think about your safety and other safety as well. So we've been trained for all that. So it's not something like I see a group of 6 boys and I'm going to jump onto them. No, I'll ask for backup, CCTV monitored, get everything ready, then I'll go.
Brilliant stuff. And one final question for you. What has been your most memorable experience working for the
memorable experiences where I've gained to borough commander commendation from the borough, where I've saved a 2-year-old child's life by doing CPR on my own when I was on duty. And there's another one is where I saved a lady's life. She was an 82-year-old woman who actually collapsed and unconscious in Ilford High Road. And there's so many other memorable things, and I've got loads of appreciation letters from members of public. I'm here for the community. Community needs me, and I'm here to make the London safer, a place to live and work.
That's so wonderful. That's two extremely memorable experiences for you, that you've actually saved lives. I've
Yes.
actually got goosebumps in the studio just talking to you. This is incredible. Do you have any advice for someone who would like to get into the police? In maybe 3 words.
I would say to them, professional, highly educated, government, secure job, and also Met provides and looks after and supports you for the rest of your life. You and your family will benefit. My husband is in the job and he's a detective sergeant. I would also like my children to join. If I could, I'd get whole world to join the police job, because we're here to reduce crime, make everyone happy.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining me now.
Thank you very much as well.
If I wasn't a presenter, I would do this.
You could still apply for the job. There's nothing stopping you. Yes, of course. But thank you very much for everyone as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you've really impacted a lot of people with us here today. Now, we are going to be taking a short break from the studios. Here we are today. And we are going to be joining the office people in Mondelez, actually. We're going to go to the Mondelez office, where Connor has been having an interview with them. So let's go see that.
London.
Thank you so much to the team in the studio. I'm joined by 2 amazing Mondelez apprentices to find out more about their journeys into the world of work. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi Connor, lovely to meet you. So I'm Amina. I'm a sales degree apprenticeship in my first rotation of the sales degree apprenticeship programme. My first rotation entails working in category development, and it's all about kind of assessing market performance, looking at key trends, KPIs, and communicating with other teams as well cross-functionally.
Amazing.
Hi Connor, I'm Sophie. I came off the degree apprenticeship scheme 2 years ago, so now working as a sales development executive for Sainsbury's. So going externally to Sainsbury's to sell in our biscuits range and work with them on their growth plans for this year. Just came off the same scheme as Amina did, doing category development, and then I did a field sales rotation, so going out to sell to smaller independent news agencies, and then finished with sales revenue planning, so looking at the forecasts for the year as well.
Amazing. Great to have you both on the world of work. So starting with you, Sophie, what made you decide to go down the apprenticeship route, and what made you decide for the apprenticeship route over a traditional route like going to university?
So I actually originally started looking at going down the normal university route because I knew I wanted a business degree, but in all honesty, there was something about a university course that I wasn't 100% committed to. So I knew that I really enjoyed working and studying, but at the time I wasn't aware that there was any degree apprenticeships for business because they weren't as common as they are now. So I went and did some uni open days with the mindset that I'd be going and doing a normal university degree, and sort of told them what I was really interested in. So I liked working on the weekends and doing my studies. And they said, well, have you not looked at our degree apprenticeship schemes? So I went and had a look on their website and realised that a degree apprenticeship was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. Did you apply for multiple degree apprenticeships in your?
Yeah, so I had a look on the university degree apprenticeship page, and they had all of their applications on there for the different businesses that they partnered with, one of which was obviously Mondelez, and then I applied for some others as well, but it was just the brands and sort of the vibe that I was getting from the business on their page that I thought this is where I want to work and this is what I want to do.
Amazing. And Amina, for yourself then, when you were making that decision, how did you go about making the choice that an apprenticeship was the route for you?
Yeah, sure. So when I completed my A-levels, I was completely uncertain about what I wanted to do. Yeah. And it was kind of taking a gap year and working for a bit, as well as kind of doing a few courses and a bit of education, when I really realised that I like that combination of being able to study and being able to work at the same time. Like really being in that immersive environment where you can put theoretical knowledge into practice straight away. And that's when I kind of discovered degree apprenticeships through social media and like LinkedIn and TikTok. And then I kind of researched into the whole scheme in general, and it really intrigued me. So I applied for a few different kind of degree apprenticeships within FMCG because I was quite interested within that industry, so fast-moving consumer goods. And then I had a look at all the different options that were out there. And for me, Mondelez was the one company that kind of really aligned with my own personal values, and like also the initiatives that they're taking in terms of sustainability and diversity were really what kind of resonated with me a lot.
So when you were looking at your options when you were in school, did you think there was a lot of... was there enough information given to you to understand the difference between apprenticeships and university?
At the time, I don't think there really was. It kind of really took me doing my own research and kind of turning to external websites and sources of information to kind of really figure out what was the best opportunity for me. I think within a lot of colleges in sixth form, there's this huge emphasis on going to university, and that's kind of the be all and end all. That's the only option out there. But I think it's really important to kind of understand that that's not the only way of obtaining a university education. Like, there is other ways to do it. And with a degree apprenticeship, it's kind of amazing because it puts you in this unique position where you're ahead of your peers almost, because you're gaining 3 years of experience within industry, within a role that you might be interested in going in future. So you kind of come out of it as a graduate with experience, with a degree, and you're already one step ahead.
And earning a salary.
Exactly, which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Yeah. So Sophie, talking about your journey, as someone who, like myself actually, applied for university, got their offers, how are you feeling, going from education into the workplace? Because it is, let's face it, it's a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, obviously, doing sixth form when you've sort of been in the same secondary school from 11 years old right up until sort of 18, you really do start to feel like you're the biggest fish in a small pond. You've kind of like outgrown the secondary school. You're an adult at the end of the day now. You're 18 years old and you want to get out and do something new. So I was really excited. Obviously, when I knew that I'd got my place and knew that I'd be coming to work for a business like Mondelez, I was really excited because essentially I thought, wow, I'm working for the brands that I've got in my cupboard at home, like Cadbury's Fingers or chocolate buttons. I thought, this is so exciting, like they're brands that I know. It was more so as well just the concept of going from learning at school to going into a workplace where you're sort of feeling like a grown-up. You're going into an adult learning environment. So yeah, that was really exciting, but it was also really nerve-wracking as well because, like I say, you're going from a big fish in a small pond to a really big pond as a small little fish. So I came in as, in my year, the youngest within the whole business. It was quite daunting, obviously, going into a big business like this at 18 years old. But as soon as I came in, the people make you feel so welcome. So that excitement just grew, and I was so keen to get in, get learning, and just get stuck in.
Amazing. So Amina, how about for yourself? You've got that journey, which is, being the youngest in a big corporate world. How was that journey for yourself?
Yeah, honestly, just to reiterate what Sophie said, I felt exactly the same. It's super daunting in the beginning because you're going in almost from this transition as a student, being the oldest in the school and sixth forms and colleges, to being the youngest in the business. And it can almost be quite daunting in the sense that you're putting this invisible pressure on yourself to perform to a certain standard. But like Sophie said, honestly, when you come into Mondelez, the company culture, the people are so welcoming and friendly, it kind of just takes that burden off a little bit and puts you at ease. And especially because there's no set hierarchy of, this is your manager, you must listen to everything they say. It's very kind of open conversation, it's very flexible. And that kind of really helps, especially when it comes to university studies as well. There's definitely that room there to kind of have those open conversations with your manager, be able to balance both and not necessarily feel overwhelmed by both aspects.
Amazing. So we've done a lot of talk already about some of the things that Mondelez did to help you both into the world of work and that step. But what did Mondelez do, and what do Mondelez provide specifically for you to make that jump into the world of work? Probably your first ever full-time job for most young people. What do they do to make that jump as seamless as possible?
Yeah, so there was definitely a few different steps in place. So we had the option to have buddies, which were other degree apprentices from the year above, and we kind of had good conversations with them right from the start when we had our handovers, and they were kind of very transparent with us of what we'd expect, and that was really useful in kind of just getting into some insight into what we'd be doing across the year. And then in addition to that, we also have the option to have mentors as well, so other people who might have a few different years of experience within the business across different functions, and kind of getting their insight and perhaps looking into career progression as well. So that was two very useful things that I found quite important for me when I started. And there was definitely like a lot of inductions and trainings as well in the beginning, which really helps you to settle in, get an idea of what the business is like, what the company is like, and the kind of industry that you'll be working in as well.
Amazing. Sophie, anything to add to that in terms of what you were given?
I found obviously we had buddies, so as Amina said, it's very useful to have someone that you can talk to that's been through like a degree apprenticeship already, which I can imagine you found really, really, really useful. But for me, obviously, I was the first lot of degree apprentices that came into Mondelez. So I had a buddy as such, which was someone sort of around my age. But it was a grad instead, so on the grad scheme. Different pathway, yeah. But they were sort of there, and it was nice because you had someone at a similar age to you, so you could ask sort of, the questions you may think are silly, like, what do you wear? Where's the canteen? Where's the fridge? Stuff like that. But then I also had a mentor, which I found so invaluable because it was someone that has been in the business for slightly longer, so a slightly senior position. But the experience and the advice that they could give me at the beginning of my career was so, so important. They helped me sort of set up for success, really, in terms of what I should be focusing on, and just really, really good advice. I also found that there was a group chat for sort of myself and the other degree apprentices within Mondelez, which again was really nice because you could sort of share your experiences, how you were feeling, and just sort of have faces that you saw within the business that you recognised, and sort of had that little friendship circle already. And then I also found as well that my manager gave me a phone call and stuff before I actually stepped foot within the office. So that was really reassuring because before I'd even come to the office, I'd already built that relationship with my manager. He'd kind of reassured me on what to expect on my first few days and what we'd be sort of thinking about working on. So that was really nice because you weren't sort of going in completely on your own. You'd already built those initial relationships, which was nice.
Amazing. And that's really important, especially with sales-based roles as well. There's it's a high pressure environment, right? So to have that seamless integration into the business and that support is so valuable and definitely not talked about enough. So there might be someone watching this who wants to follow your pathways. They might be inspired to go down the same route as you and apply for a Mondelez apprenticeship. But one of the questions we often hear is, what do I actually do in my first few weeks? What do I actually physically do in those first weeks? So starting with you, Sophie, tell us a couple of the things, and then we'll come across to yourself, Amina, that you do in those first weeks at Mondelez.
I think before I even touch on what you do within the first weeks, I think what's really important to note in those first few weeks is the fact that there's no pressure as such. I know you mentioned before about this, you having this invisible pressure that you put on yourself, just like the reassurance that it's not an external pressure. You come in and there's no sort of expectations or pressure within the first few weeks. It is very much a case of finding your feet. They obviously appreciate that you're just coming out of school, exactly, making that big jump, going from sort of secondary school into the business world, and they are really, really keen to support you. So you very much have sort of like a 2-week induction program, which the first week is very much focused around all the different functions within Mondelez. So you learn about sort of how finance may interact with category development or marketing, how everything ties in to sort of keep the wheels in motion, really. And then the second week is focused more around your sales role. So what happens within your role, what do you do on the day-to-day? So you're really just sort of taking each day as it comes, getting more familiar with the business, but also just meeting other people, like speaking to new people. And as I said at the beginning, there is really no expectation to get stuck into work straight away. It is a case of finding your feet within the business, speaking to people, and it's really just important to make the most of that as well, because that is just, it's invaluable experience, really.
Yeah, and Amina, anything else that you've done? I know you're obviously on different cohorts of apprentices, so is there anything else that's been added to that?
Just to reiterate what Sophie said, it's a very seamless transition process. You kind of have all the time in the world to pick up things, learn, and there's all the opportunity to as well. I think with my 2 weeks of inductions, it was quite interesting actually because it was very varied. We had some within the office, we had some kind of field inductions where we'd go out to supermarkets and stuff. So it's not all kind of boring sat there in front of a PowerPoint. It's really interesting and it's good fun as well. And it gives you that opportunity just to get to know the business, as I mentioned before. And as well as that, I kind of had one-to-one inductions with all of my team and everybody that I'd be working with cross-functionally. So that was for a full month. I was just kind of meeting people, making the most of kind of trying to figure out different personalities who I'd be working with. And that was really kind of helpful before I actually got stuck into my role, which was probably not until the second month or so. And they really do ease you into the tasks as well because university's brand new, work is brand new, so it's all kind of a really seamless, very easy process.
Good. And I assume you learn a lot about all these, some of the brands that are here and in the background, so I assume you learn about those household brands that you would have, I think Sophie, you said, had in your cupboards growing up. So you learn about the history of the brands as well and where Mondelez came from as well in those first weeks?
Sort of get a background of Mondelez and where the kind of company originated from, all the different brands as you mentioned. And it's quite good because it gives you an insight that you wouldn't normally kind of get. I mean, we are familiar with these brands like Oreo, Cadbury's, but we don't necessarily always
the story behind them.
The story behind them, exactly. Yeah.
And it's amazing. You're how old are you, sir?
I'm 20. Yeah.
So you're 20 and you're working with some of the biggest brands in the world as well. And for yourself, Sophie, working with even Sainsbury's as a partner, and you supplying to them, that's amazing. There's not many opportunities where you could actually work with brands that big at this age as well. Some people think that you'd have to go through your career for years and years before you can get to that level.
I was just going to add as well, in the first few weeks, I know you sort of touched upon with the uni stuff, there's a nice form of integration between the workload and the uni as well. And you sort of see that across the 3 years as such of the scheme. So sort of in the first few weeks, I found what was really useful as well was a meeting between my Mondelez manager and my uni tutor. So they actually got to know each other. There would be expectations set around sort of the workload at Mondelez and the uni workload, because I think that could be something that's quite daunting for someone to go from secondary school to uni, working full time, but also studying how on earth are they going to fit it all in? Exactly. It's kind of how do you fit all of that in within the same sort of 24 hours that everybody else does? But having those initial meetings between Mondelez and the university just gets everyone on the same page and aligned. So I didn't feel that stressed as much, sort of wants them to admit, because it really just makes everything a seamless, aligned process.
Yeah, really good. How did you, one question before we come on to sort of the advice you'd give to young people, how did you find that initial juggling of university and work? Because there's so many different degree apprenticeships out there right now, and maybe one of the things that might put young people off is, well, if I do just a degree, I can just focus on the degree, and if I just do a first year job, I can just do the job and not worry. How did you find that? Because it's a big jump and it's a big ask.
Yeah, I think don't get me wrong, it's hard work. Obviously, you're like we've said, you're doing a degree alongside working, so there is a lot of work from both sides that comes into that. However, I didn't find it as stressful as I thought I was going to because of the support that you get. But I mean, realistically, when you look at it, if you're a secondary school student that's doing your A-levels, but then you're working as well in a part-time job, it's kind of the same, just stepped up slightly.
It's the same sort of process,
exactly. You're managing your A-levels alongside a weekend job or an evening job. So it's a case of doing the exact same. You find when works best for you, you schedule your day out and you fit the work in sort of around your workload. Yeah. And I think comparing it to a normal uni degree, yes, you're fitting a lot more in the same period of time and it's hard work, but the experience and the advice that you get from people within the business, real life business situations, is invaluable. I was able to take a lot of experience and knowledge from people that I spoke to sort of within work, put that into my coursework and into my uni work. And it was you get so much context and business sort of insights just from your day-to-day at work.
And you can translate that into your course.
Exactly, which is something that I don't know whether I would have got from a normal uni course, not being able to be in a work situation sort of 9 till 5.
That
so
hands-on experience.
Exactly, so it definitely ties in together and really does help.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Amina, anything to add on that? Sorry?
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate that, I think my manager was obviously like very kind of transparent with me and very flexible. So when it came to like university deadlines and stuff, you get study days as well. So a lot of different companies offer that depending on like the course and the degree you're doing. But at Mondelez, we get one per module. And that really helps because it means when you've got kind of key deadlines coming up, you can take that time off. Yeah. You can speak to your manager and just be like, you know, look, I've got a lot of going on right now. I might need to take a bit of a step back. And because the kind of environment at Mondelez is like very flexible and it's kind of just a very fun environment to be working in as well.
And they encourage you to share by the sounds of it, and share what you're working on and where you might need that support as well, which is really important and should hopefully help those going from education into work as well with making that jump. So looking at that jump now and starting with yourself, Amina, what advice would you give a young person sat there now? They might already be out of education, or they might be about to do their A-level exams and then going into the world of work, or whatever, they might still be undecided. They might decide after this that a Mondelez apprenticeship's for them. What are your sort of 2 top tips you'd give a young person to make that jump into the world of work and make it as seamless as possible?
Yeah, so my first one, I think I've kind of reiterated throughout this whole session, that it's really just not putting that invisible pressure on yourself. You have all the time in the world to learn. Like, just kind of use those few weeks, use those few months even, just to absorb as much information as you can, get to know as many people as you can as well. I think that would be my second top tip, is just speak to as many people as you can, make those connections. Because like Sophie said, it can be really valuable, especially coming later on with university work and coursework, when you can apply that, like actual practical real world knowledge into your coursework, it becomes really, really useful.
Amazing. And Sophie, for yourself, 2 top tips?
The first one I would say is to just be yourself. Like, obviously, the application process is understandably competitive because of like the schemes and how amazing they are. And it's the same across all of the applications that you'll probably go through. They'll be competitive. And I remember sort of at that time being very quick to compare myself to all of the other applicants and sort of coming out of it thinking, oh, I might not have been as good as this person, or I was slightly different to this person. But there's a reason essentially why they will have hired you. And as long as you can be yourself, that is the best way to be. And I'd say just be sort of true to yourself, just be confident, go in and just give it your all. And that's all you can do, really. And then, on touching upon that, talking to people, that's really important. I'd also say just manage your time effectively, because like you said before, you're fitting in a workload, a uni load, and a personal life as well, and all of those are equally as important for the success of like a degree apprenticeship. So I'd say, like, whilst it's going to be sometimes pinch points where it's stressful, you know, with uni deadlines or you've got a big work project, find the time to take back for yourself as well. So, you know, don't feel like, oh, I can't go and see my friends, or I can't go to the gym, stuff like that. Really sit down and think about when you find you work best, get your work done, and then you've got that time to still have that personal life, because it's work-life balance is so important to get stuff like this done and done successfully. Yeah,
and you can't have too much of one, not enough of the other.
Exactly.
And everything in between. And on that, there's so many tips out there, aren't there? There's books, TikTok is a great resource now as well for, if you know where to look. There's productivity hacks and all sorts out there, LinkedIn, so on, where people share advice on managing time. And, I'm sure there's people within this building and the wider Mondelez network that can support you as well,
definitely,
right? With doing
100%.
that. So we've spoken so much, and it's been really great to hear about your journeys into the world of work and how Mondelez can support you. So if a young person sat there right now and they want to find out more about the careers on offer, or they're thinking of applying today, where can they have a look?
So we've got the careers site on the Mondelez website. It's careers.mondelez.com, which essentially highlights all of the degree apprenticeships that we've got available. They are posted sort of beginning of the year, open in January, and they're open till sort of around March time. This is essentially our biggest year of hiring, and we've got sort of degree apprenticeships in loads of different functions. I don't know whether you want to...
Yeah, so we've got a few different options now. I think it's 8 different degree apprenticeships we have this year. So like Sophie said, it's our biggest year of launches of degree apprenticeships. So we've got kind of roles across supply chain, across procurement, and also sales as well. They also kind of vary slightly. So with ours, we have 4 days a week at the workplace and then 1 that we're studying at university. But I know for some of them, it's kind of study blocks as well. So there's definitely that variation as well, but there's a good balance between working and studying.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure there'll be loads of young people going and checking out those roles, and potentially, if they're not looking for now, looking for next year and beyond. Thanks so much for joining us for the World of Work Live, and we really appreciate hearing more about your stories.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks so much for watching this session with our fantastic partners at Mondelez. Back over to the guys in the studio.
Hello and welcome back to the World of Work Live, brought to you by the wonderful team at NGTU. Now, we just want to address the sound issues that you might have experienced a little bit earlier on. Rest assured, those will be fixed when you watch that back live. So that's when you watch it back later on, I should say. But apart from that, just a huge thank you to Connor, also from NGTU, who did that fantastic interview with the Mondelez group. So thank you to you, Connor. We are now going to be moving on to our next very exciting group and company of the day, of the session, and that is going to be Careers at Sea with the wonderful Susan and also Harry, who managed to make it. He's had a bit of a journey getting here today, but you are both with us. So welcome to you both. How are you doing today?
Yes, very
all
good, thank you.
Yes, good. Not too nervous.
No.
We're all good.
Okay for now.
Oh, fabulous stuff. Well, we'll make you feel as at home as possible. So we just wanted to know a couple of things about you. So maybe, obviously, we know your names, but if we could just have your titles, your roles, and a little bit about what you do.
My name's Susan. I work at the Merchant Navy Training Board, and part of my role is Careers at Sea promotion. So this covers predominantly cadetships and ratings aboard ships, and really selling and showing off the wonderful world of opportunities at sea, but also within maritime in the industry as well. So my role covers that promotion in the UK, but also managing what we call our Maritime Educational Foundation cadets. So my role's split in two, but really today we're here to talk about Careers at Sea and the opportunities.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Harry?
So I'm Harry. I'm a newly qualified deck officer. So I deal with the navigation of the vessel, maintaining the safety, and take orders from the captains. Yeah.
Great stuff. And how are you finding your first role?
Well, I haven't been out to sea yet, so I'm still
No.
waiting to go away, but
Yeah.
the training was really good.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
practicing on land.
Yeah, quite a lot of practicing. Simulator work, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And I guess, the first question, maybe Susan, you'll know a little bit more about this at this moment in time, but what are the opportunities for people who might want to work at sea?
Yeah, sure. So the entry pathway really that we try to promote is this cadetship that Harry has been through. It's a 3-year programme that's fully funded by a company, and there's a bursary as well whilst you're doing the training. And that can be in either deck officer role, which is what Harry has completed. There's an engineering officer cadetship, and there's also an electro-technical officer cadetship. So there's 3 different options there. And this hands-on training goes between life at sea on board a ship, that can be a cruise ship, a bulk carrier, offshore support vessels, ferries, I mean everything that encompasses the Merchant Navy, and studies at college. So you have the opportunity to gain the educational qualifications, but also the professional seafaring qualifications, and you walk away with your certificate of competency, which is given by the Maritime Coast Guard Agency. So this experience is invaluable, and it really gives you an opportunity to see the world, but to learn some really fundamental life skills. So beyond the cadetship, you can then go, come back to land. So it sounds very funny to say to people who are not necessarily in the industry, but you come back to land, and then there's a world of opportunity within the maritime industry, from maritime law, insurances, ports, auditing teams. There is so many different opportunities within the industry, and we are an island nation, and we're very dependent on our maritime industry and the seafarers as well that bring everything into our islands.
Yeah, I'm sure. And if someone was looking to maybe get into careers at sea from a school level, what would you say would be their best bet? How could they go about researching and starting to look into what part of this industry would they like to be in?
So Careers at Sea, we provide sort of an unbiased industry-wide overview of exactly what the entry routes are. There are various different ways to apply for a cadetship. That can be either through a company directly, through a training management company, and they would then guide and support everybody through their training as well. Also attending open days at the maritime colleges. There's various within the UK, is the best way, I think, to go into the colleges and see exactly what training would look and feel like. It also is an opportunity that takes you away from home. So if you want that university feel,
and gain that independence, but not necessarily go to university itself. It's a really fantastic way to start taking those steps towards leaving home and building that career path for yourself.
Yeah, because it's a scary thing, isn't it, leaving home for the first time? So, but I think it's a rite of passage, isn't it? Almost, really. Harry, how did you find leaving home? Or have you not left yet?
No, I left home.
Yeah.
So I went deep sea. So normally your sea phase is split up into around 3 phases, but due to COVID, I did it in 2 phases. So I did one contract, which was 5 months, and the second, which was around 8 months, to get my 12 months sea time. But actually, it takes about 2 weeks to get settled into the crew life, ship life, or whatever. But once you've settled in, you make some really good friends. You're constantly learning, so it's kind of, as bad as it sounds, your family or like your friends, it's kind of on the back of your mind because you're so busy. The ship never stops moving, it never stops working. It's a 24-hour factory, really. So, and time flies by. It really does. Constantly busy. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've made some good friends along the way.
Yeah, lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, it's throughout all ranks, and they're always there to help and support you. I never found it difficult going away to sea in the end, just because I had the right support there, the right crew. So, can't fault it.
Yeah. Were you a little bit nervous at the start?
Yeah, I was absolutely petrified because I flew out to Singapore to join the vessel. I'd gone on holiday, but it was nothing, like going to Singapore on your own or anything like that. And I ended up meeting one of the officers in the airport just out of accident, really, and was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And just explained, and then he said, "Oh, well, just follow me," and then you just kind of get looked after. So you're not really left on your own as a trainee officer. There's always going to be somebody there to guide you, take you through the steps, take you through the process. So it does take the nerves off you, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing to have someone, look after you as far as Singapore. I went to Sheffield Uni and I was, crying in my room for 3 weeks, you know. So to go to Singapore is amazing. Yeah. Which kind of brings me on to my next question then, is where else have you travelled? Where have you been lucky enough to go on your...
There's not many places really I haven't been. Like I said, flew out to Singapore, been to China twice, been to Taiwan twice, been to Vancouver, Brazil, Norway, Flushing in the Netherlands, at Vancouver, yeah. So there's a lot of places covered. Japan I signed off in as well, so loads of places. And prior to COVID, we could get shore leave in all these countries, but just recently because of COVID, that's not been possible. However, now, different countries are all starting to lift their requirements. You can start to get shore leave again. And that's definitely gives you such a huge break when you have been on the vessel for, say, a month. You can go off for a few hours, come back to the ship, do your work, and if you want to go away, back on shore again, you can. So it's quite nice to have that break in different countries, which sounds quite weird.
Yeah, I bet. No, it sounds very lovely. Yeah. I'm sure that the work that you do is extremely difficult, but it must be nice to have that break and to experience a new place. No,
that's it precisely, because on a ship, you're always working, everything. It can be quite a stressful environment at times. It is a very busy environment. So the weird thing is you'll come off your watch after 4 hours, where you could have been in the South China Sea, navigating around 70 fishing vessels, constantly having to think and manoeuvre the vessel, and then you can literally come off watch and you just sat outside on the back of the ship watching the sunset in 30-40 degree heat, or you come off watch and you're all having a barbecue on the back of the ship on a Friday night. It's all the crew together, music, look, I love the life. Can't fault it.
Yeah, well, you're selling it to me, so I don't know how everyone else feels wherever they're watching it in from. That's amazing. And what about you, Susan? Do you have any fun travel tales?
So I entered the industry slightly differently. I did do the traditional university route, and I joined through the compliance world, which doesn't throw everybody, but actually it gave me a lot of travel. So I went on board ships in an auditing capacity, and when I went on board, maybe not quite as far as Asia in my travels, but definitely a lot around Europe and the US. And you're working with people all over the world, and it's not just being able to see and experience the world through this career choice, it's also working with those people too, and learning about the different cultures and different traditions that all comes together on board the ship. You are there for a common goal and purpose, and I think it takes out any sort of nationality. You are there for one reason, and really it's amazing how many different people from different parts of the world can come and work together on board a ship, and those experiences at sea that you mentioned, when you have that, it really is quite something, and it's hard to describe, but it's really something that from my time when I have been out at sea and been part of the team, it really is special.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I must admit, you know, it feels like you're just one big group. You're all striving for the same goal, and no matter your rank or you know what you're doing on board, there is that just nationality culture. It all just you know, it's pushed aside, and you all just get on like one big family. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all in the same boat.
Yeah, quite literally.
But
Yeah.
you're sick of the puns in the
there's
in
a
your
lot
line
with
of
this
work. I
industry.
bet, yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful. That you know, so many people from different places all come together for that same goal. And I guess that brings me on to my next question: is you were mentioning that you work with lots of different people whilst you're on the ship. Well, what does your day-to-day routine look like on the ship for yourself, Harry?
On the ship, so it's every officer has their own watch. So it tends to be 4 hours on, 8 hours off on the vessel. So depending where you work, it may be different rotations, but usually deep sea, that's the routine. So if you're 4 hours on watch, you're navigating the vessel, ensuring it's following the route. You know, you carry out collision avoidance with other vessels, ensuring you don't collide, I should say. That sounds bad. But yeah, so you know, keeping a proper lookout, watching and monitoring other vessels' movements. And then after that, you might do a couple of hours of paperwork, getting the vessel ready for coming into port, maybe updating publications, and ensuring that all the safety equipment on the vessel is maintained to a high standard. And then after that, once you finished your work, you can either go relax in your room, go meet other crew members. You know, like we had a PlayStation on board, we had a gym, we had basketball courts, we had a ping pong table. So there's a lot to do. You know, there's always somebody, you know, either off watch or, you know, just getting ready for a watch. So there's always somebody there you can just talk to, have a laugh with. Yeah, so coming off watch, go sleep and chill out, really. That's it.
Go watch the sunset, as you said.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah, have a cup of tea.
Yeah, well, that sounds perfect. So yeah, it really does sound quite dreamlike. I'm sure there's lots of hard elements to it. Is there any challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, if you deep sea, I wouldn't say there's a great deal of challenges because it's, you know, you're in open ocean. But I think the thing that gives you the biggest buzz is when you're coming into port or you're leaving port, because you've got to have your checklists out. You have to be on your A game. You know, getting the vessel ready, set up, calling the appropriate departments, following the captain's orders. He might want the engine started, you know, an hour before departure. So it's quite logistical, really, because you're having to try and figure out, right, do I need to prioritise this first or this first? You know, so there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes just to get the vessel prepared, and it's, you know, my responsibility if I'm on watch to have that all prepared and sorted. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about yourself, Susan? What challenges do you face day to day?
I mean, talking from the side of the cadetship, I think some of the challenges that somebody looking to do this might face would be that element of travel. There is that, you know, you are away from home sometimes at events that go on and you sort of could feel like you miss out. So that is definitely something through a cadetship that could be faced. Also, there is an educational side to this as well. So you do need to complete courses and college work in order to get the qualifications. But I know, Harry, you had some good interactions with your fellow cadets to get over those.
Yeah, so we, you know, especially when you're at college, it is very intense. You know, there's a lot of exams, but in all honesty, if you just put your head down and you work, you will pass these. And yeah, like I said, there is a lot. But we formed buddy groups, study groups, and we'd study together, ask each other questions, and test each other, and that was the best method for us, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then progression, what might that look like for you?
In terms of progression, so when you're deep sea, so you've got third mate, second mate, chief mate, captain. So my licence covers me up to second mate. Then I'll have to come back to college for a few months to take my chief mate exams. So the chief mate, he's really involved with the stability of the vessel, figuring out how we're going to load the cargo best so it doesn't overstress the vessel. And then from chief mates, you go to captain, and captain's another exam you have to take, competency exam. And after that, no more exams. But yeah, third mate third mate tends to be just navigation and updating the safety equipment. Second mate, deep sea, tends to do the passage planning, ensuring all navigational publications are up to date. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything that you can compare that, you know, you'll do in your exams that you can compare to something you did at school? Are there any subjects that come in useful, for example?
Maths for sure.
Yeah.
But like I was never a really intellectual person, but I always just put my head down and studied. So you know, as much as the maths is really essential, if I came out with maths as a basic grade, you know, I passed it, and I didn't have a massive struggle with learning the maths. I had good support around me to ensure that I passed the exams. So yeah, maths is the biggest one really. Geography, I suppose.
Yeah, of course.
You know, your
Nice to know
oceans.
where you're
Basics, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah, definitely maths, physics, them types of subjects. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe someone who's interested in maths and geography, for example, at this, you know, at this age of school age, it can be quite good.
I think they're the fundamentals, and to get onto a cadetship, so everyone can walk away with this certificate of competency to be an officer on board. But the educational qualification can be at various levels. So you can go in at HNC level, and so basically level 3, level 4 and level 5, and some places even also a university route. So if it still sounds good, you can still do this and come out with a bachelor's degree at the end too. And that really is based off of what that individual's best path is. So if a foundation degree might be a bit too, you know, you haven't necessarily you struggle more with maths or some physics elements, then you might go on to the advanced diploma course. But they can really pick that based off of you as an individual, and there's options, which is really good. There's also what we call a pre-cadetship. So that starts as well at 16, and that gives a bit of a taster into cadetships and an understanding before sort of committing to the full 3-year course that Harry's done. And that is at various colleges, again within the maritime colleges, and that's a really good entry pathway, or even, you know, an opportunity to see what it's like. But the very vast majority of people that do these pre-cadetships go on to take a full cadetship at the end.
Yeah, so it could be a great place to start with if they start with the cadetship first.
Absolutely, but if you want to go straight into a cadetship, the minimum is 4 GCSEs, 1 being maths and 1 preferably a science being physics, because that will help in the future. But that's the sort of the minimum entry requirements, and from there up, if you take A levels, you can go in maybe at foundation degree or degree, depending on the grades.
Okay, so that's in terms of the grades. What would you say in terms of personality, behaviour, traits? What would make you someone who would fit in really well to have a career at sea? Either of you really. Floor's open.
I'd say you've definitely got to have a calm personality about you, because you're going to get put into so many situations where it's just offbeat, you know, really unexpected situations, and you do have to remain calm. You just have to say, right, let's take a step back, analyse the situation and take it from there. However, you know, when you do your cadetship, they teach you to be like this. They teach you to stay calm, because you become competent, you become confident in your knowledge. So, you know, it's kind of have any personality, but it will teach you, you know, they will push you into that direction to have that calm persona, because at the end of the day, people look at myself or other officers as, how are you going to respond to an incident? That's our job. So, you know, it is taught into you from day one, yeah. And you do a lot of simulator training as well, so, you know, realistically, when an incident, hopefully it doesn't, but when an incident does occur, you've done it in the simulator, you've practiced it, you know, quite a lot, so, you know, you're ready to respond, which, once again, gives you that confidence, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to specify, because everybody's so unique when they come forward for interviews to do a cadetship, but there's no work experience necessarily required for this. You don't need to have done anything really related to the sea to start a cadetship. Nobody's going into it expecting you or anybody to know anything at all. It's really just about having maybe some of those qualities, the ability to stay calm, or if you can prove how you've been in a situation that you have managed to turn around if it wasn't quite for you. It's some of the softer skills really, but there's nothing prescribed with this, because everybody's unique, but it's just the understanding for everybody that you will be away from home for a period of time, so that element of independence is important.
Yeah, that's needed. So a calm head, and the knowledge that you will be away from home. Yeah. And how do you deal with that? Because obviously you said that some lovely person helped you in the airport. But if that person hadn't been there, for example, what would you have done? How would you navigate?
That's a fair question. So, you know, we have our cadet training managers or cadet officers within each company. So they're always on hand 24/7, especially when they know you're going away. So they'll book your flights, they'll book your transport, and you know they're pretty good at knowing what's going on at every single point of your travel. So like for example, when on my second contract I went out, the taxi didn't arrive, so it was kind of just call the training officer, and she sorted it out straight away. There's always going to be somebody there to guide you at every single stage of the training, no matter what.
Yeah, that's really lovely to hear,
Yeah.
because you know you might be in another job where you know a taxi doesn't turn up, for example, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, what do I do? But you
Yeah.
know sometimes you know,
Yeah,
to have
sure.
that structure around you can really help
Yeah.
you maybe as well, which is it's good for people to know at home or at schools
Yeah.
that there is that support available
And
at literally every step.
the training officers really care as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a case of a tick box exercise for any of this. You know, the training officers in the industry really care about people staying on track, doing well within their course. Obviously, that's in the best interest of every party involved, that everybody does well. But you know, they really do help with those situations. If they know somebody's travelling where they're 8 hours ahead, there's always somebody to cover to make sure that even time isn't a limiting factor here. It's, you know, on our website we say it's not 9 to 5, and that's the case for people at sea, but it's the case for people sort of supporting the training too. And they're always happy to help and support in any way, as is everybody involved. And there's various mentor schemes throughout the industry as well. So people might have their training officer, but they might also have somebody who gives up their time freely within the industry to mentor them, which is again invaluable support.
Yeah, and I think a buddy or a mentor is really important, isn't it? Especially in your line of work where things can go a little bit or where you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
But you'll never travel really on your own. I never travelled on my own. I always had a second. When I was training, there was always another trainee officer who was with me, and he was from my own college. So you know, he was on the same flight. We got to the same destination, getting in the same taxi. So there's always two of you. For deep sea anyway. I can't talk if it's the North Sea or anything, but yeah. So you're never really alone.
Yeah. That's really good to hear, because it's scary stuff, isn't it? Going
it's
daunting,
on
trips like that.
This can start at 16. So cadetships generally you'll find that it's 18 plus, but it is possible to start this at 16. So straight out of school, if that is what people want, it's available to do. There's some more restrictions on travel and hours of work when you're under 18, but it is possible, and there are companies that do hire it at 16. But it is a world that just opens up, and the fact that it's free, it opens it up to a lot of people as well. And you get the bursary for doing the training, which varies depending on the company, but really anywhere between the £800 to £1,000 per month would be a good sort of guide as to how much that would be on a monthly basis.
Yeah. That's really helpul as well. You know, you're on the ship, so you're not going to be paying for your rent, for example. So I bet that's really nice to have as well, to spend your money in a new place as well.
And also not walking away with a student loan.
Well, that's a huge thing, isn't it? So many of us have it. And no, that's really amazing to hear. And then in terms of, what was my question? My question was, in terms of, so I think, did you go to an open day, Harry? Did you ever attend one?
I went to Southampton's open day. Just drove myself down, I'd seen it being advertised. I thought, right, I'll go see what it's all about. And just from going to the open day, I think I doubled my knowledge of what the industry was about, you know, just speaking to the lecturers that were there.
Yeah, what did you learn?
I just learned about how to get into it, you know, where I need to be looking, what type of vessels do I want to go on, where do I want to operate? Do I want to operate coastal, do I want to go in the North Sea, or do I want to go deep sea? And that was just told straight off the back by a lecturer, you know, so information like that is so easily obtained by just going to the open days. You know, you can put it in on the internet, you know, questioning careers at sea, for example, or the Merchant Navy Training Board, and you will get a lot of answers, but sometimes it's just better. I personally like to get it in person, somebody actually telling me, this is what you need to do, have a look at this, have a look at that, contacting, networking.
You want to speak to a person,
and
absorb it all, as one of our last guests was mentioning as well.
And definitely, and you know, if anyone ever makes an inquiry through Careers at Sea, then we're more than happy to have the conversations. I think it's always easier, you know, we depend a lot now on just finding stuff out on Google, but I think actually having those conversations and asking questions that you might not necessarily think of until you actually talk to somebody who's been through it is very important. It's something as well that we can get when people know they kind of want to go and do this, but they don't necessarily understand what would work for them, or what type of ships. As I mentioned at the very beginning, you know, that there's a range of different ships you can go on to. And some people are more suited towards passenger ships and going on to cruise vessels and ferries, and, you know, working their way up through guest interaction as well. They enjoy that element. Some people would prefer not to have to deal with guests and just, you know, get on with their job and their role and their tasks that they have in their training record book whilst they're at sea. And some people are with charity placements, and that you get a variety of different ship types. So with those, it's really, with those sorts of people, it's good to have the conversations with people who have experienced those things, so they can maybe start to make a decision of who they want to go through in terms of their company and their training provider as well.
So with the well, it's almost entertainment industry, isn't it? Really, that kind of cruise side of it. Is that, would you say, for someone who, is really led by people and really enjoys communicating with people, spending time with people?
Yeah, there's a whole other section of careers at sea, not just necessarily the officer route, but there's a whole host of different roles, from people who work in the catering side, or on the passenger ships, sort of the guest services, yes, absolutely, what we call ratings as well, who are non-officer level skilled workers that work with the officers on board. And entertainment, so any job really that exists on land will also exist at sea in some capacity. Now, not every ship will have all of them, but, you know, there will be somewhere out there a job, you know, pursers, HR, every element is possible to do at sea. And sometimes getting that experience on a ship can be completely different to being HR in a shoreside job. You know, bring a whole different element to your role and your knowledge as well moving forward.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's so many different career options that you can choose from, you know, from officer to, I guess kind of the catering side, all these different elements. So there really seems like there's something for everyone. So in terms of, you know, trying to find you online, how can we do so? Do we just go to the websites that Harry mentioned? Do you want to maybe say them once more?
Yeah, so careersatsea.org.uk is our website. So this is the impartial, full information about cadetships, ratings and other entry pathways, and you can contact us on there. Also on social media, it's @careersatsea for more information.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you both so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as I did. I've learned so much. And we have actually just put the website in the comments for anyone who is watching this, which you'll be able to see in the recording afterwards as well. But yes, thank you both so much for joining us. We have one more session, and that's going to be Careers with Coach Core. That will be at 5 p.m, so just a little while away. So don't go anywhere. And what was that? Oh, it'll be on demand as well. Got my earpiece in. It will also be available on demand as well. So thank you so much for joining me once again. We will see you at 5 p.m. for the final session with Coach Core.
If I hadn't joined Coach Corps, I really have no idea where I'd be right now. It's affected my confidence massively. I wouldn't normally come out and do something like this. I used to hate doing stuff on my own.
I've been with Coach Corps coaching for 5 or 6 months. It's been really good. I've met loads of good people.
Time management is like really key, and also being disciplined as a coach and being organised.
I really enjoy sport and I didn't want to have a job where it's just sat in an office all day.
I come from a background where you're a girl and you're a Muslim girl, so it's kind of like sports is like not art, but they don't see the side of what sports have done to me as an individual, like what it's given me, the skills for life. And yeah, I guess I really wouldn't know where I would be if I were not to take part in this industry. If you're thinking about taking part in Coach Corps as an apprenticeship this year, I would fully advise you to take part in it. It's going to be engaging, you're going to meet loads of people, like some famous people as well. So yeah, I guess you should take the whole package and see what it's like for the whole year.
Simple one, believe and achieve. I feel like that's one of the early ones that I learned when I was young, so I feel like that's always stayed in me. If you believe, you can achieve your goals. Well, my name is Nana Darkwa. I'm currently working for Red Balloon Foundation. I've been put on the Coach Corps apprenticeship as well. And yeah, I play football, semi-professional, playing for a team called East Warwick at the moment. And I really enjoy doing my coaching as well, and youth work. That's kind of my forte and what I'm doing right now. So yeah. What inspired me? I feel like me being around sports the majority of my life, I feel like that's the real key element for me saying, let me go into coaching, because I was playing football, I was playing for Southampton, the academies, and I was playing at Blackpool. So I've been playing at a high level in football. That's what I've been doing. And to come out of that and I didn't get a contract and whatnot, I was looking at different avenues and where to go. And being around sport, I feel like it'd be a perfect idea for me to help others in coaching them into sport. So I feel like that's the main kind of reason why I did it. I feel like my current employer right now, Red Balloon, is really supportive of my football career as well. Like, I'm still actually playing my football career, I'm still trying to make it pro. With stuff like, if I've got a random game on a Wednesday, I can just be like to them, talk to them and say, I've got this game, can we do something, can we shift around my work? And then they just do it like that, and they really are supportive, and they know that I do play football and they really want me to do well in it. I've had trouble with a lot of injuries. I've done my ACL before when I was about 17, and that was a hard one to take personally, because I was like around the first team at that time, and that was like mentally it was really hard. Yeah, I hope to think I'd be a role model, but yeah, I would say I feel like if you're a coach, I feel like that is one of the things you need to be. You need to be a role model to kids, and I feel like I hope I do inspire them, and I'm a role model to them, because I try and have not just, there's one thing about having a coach relationship or having that relationship with a child to be able for them to be able to trust you, and I feel like I do bring that, and especially with kids that aspire to be footballers and stuff like that, they kind of look at my story and stuff like that and they get like, wow, this is cool. So yeah, I feel like I do. I feel like what next for me is I just want to continue my coaching experiences. I want to be the best coach I can be to help out younger people than me. I feel like what I got when I was younger is a good thing that I want to give that to others now.
Hi, my name's Renee and I'm a former Coach Corps apprentice now sitting on the youth board and working at Aston Villa Foundation. Coach Corps is a national charity that uses sports and apprenticeships to help change young lives and help transform communities. We find out-of-work young people and set them on the path to a rewarding career through sports, community apprenticeships, as well as training, a wage and work as a grassroots coach.
I'd much prefer to be outside, being active, so that's why I chose an apprenticeship instead.
So I was dying to go into the role of sports, so I did college, but it just wasn't for me, sitting down and a lot of handwriting, whereas the apprenticeship route kind of gave me what I was looking for in the sense of delivering sports whilst learning at the same time.
I got in trouble when I was like 17 years old and I ended up in prison, and that's where I met actually Avon. He was doing one of the courses there and I kind of just participated, and now I'm here basically, and I just want to kind of make a difference for myself and just keep going.
The dramatic benefits of sports and activity for physical and mental health are very well known, yet underrepresented groups, people living in deprived areas, women and girls, those from ethnically diverse communities are always still likely to be less active.
I've come in and designed new groups for the young people, so I now run sports leaders, which I started within about a month and a half of my apprentice, which was designed at getting young people into the building, play some sports that they don't get to play every day out in school or even on the streets.
I like helping people, and helping people with disabilities, non-disability, having fun with them, having a laugh.
We recruit apprentices from these underrepresented groups. As relatable role models, they are uniquely able to make their communities healthier and happier places through sport.
I just want to get rid of that misconception for Asian community, for anyone really, that training is a bad thing, and I want to get kids being active as well.
What I do is I make sure that the young people have a safe place to come when it's the sessions. It helps the community a lot because it allows them to not really worry about what the young people in their community are doing, because they know they're going to be safe.
Our focus is on developing young people. If we can take apprentices on and offer them kind of gainful employment and more opportunities, then that's a good thing for us.
We raise funds to support these apprentices on their placement with a wide range of employers across the country. With the addition of young and passionate persons to help their workforce, organisations that employ a Coach Corps apprentice are able to grow and have even more of a positive impact on the communities that they serve.
Apprentices have transformed our organisation. It's something we've never done before, but it's something we've talked about for years. We have this idea of kind of youth leadership in our community and bringing young people up to be the leaders in their own community. The Coach Corps programme was perfect for that.
Something I was searching for in my work life was meaning, and I needed purpose, and I feel like through Coach Corps I found my purpose. A lot of the kids we work with have gone through so much more than I ever did. For them to have gone through everything that they went through and being able to open up, I feel like that helps me find my purpose in like working with young people, definitely.
If you'd like to support our work or simply find out more about what we do, you can find us online at coachcorps.org.uk.
So prior to my apprenticeship, I studied computer science at university, but the learning style didn't really work for me. Having to go in 5 times a week and not really being committed, so that didn't work out. My name is Matthew Rafferty. I'm a wealth and personal banking degree apprentice, and I currently work in the financial support team as a financial support specialist. So my day-to-day job involves running the CAF plan for the financial support team. This is for the call centres to make sure that we have enough supply and demand so that we don't have customers in need of financial support left waiting on hold. So I collate all of the information, put it together, and I hand that over to the department leads so that they can then make their decisions based off the needs for supply and demand. As I'm in my first year, we've just finished our first module, which was the financial markets and risk, which was really interesting, and now we're on to the fundamentals of management, which is another topic that I'm finding really interesting and maybe something that I'll look into for potential jobs in the future. Prior to my role, I did need skills in things such as Excel, Word, PowerPoint, but on the job, I did find that I needed to do perhaps a bit more of my own research into Excel, as it does involve a lot of spreadsheets, but other than that, I didn't really need anything to start the apprenticeship. I think my favourite part of the apprenticeship so far has been all of the opportunities that I've been provided. You can take volunteering days where HSBC will pay you and the place that you go to do some charity work. At HSBC there is lots of support towards your growth and development. Personally, I have one-to-one meetings every month with my placement manager, as well as a talent coach who will provide me with the on-the-job learning part of the course, as well as my program manager who checks up on my apprenticeship and also my well-being. HSBC very much care about the employees' well-being, and it's very important to them to make sure that not only are you okay with your apprenticeship and your work side, but also your personal side, and making sure that if there's anything they can do to help, that the offer is there in support. I think to be someone that works at HSBC, you need to have a very strong work ethic, and you need to be able to be organised and adapt, because nobody's going to chase you on your work. You are expected to get your responsibilities done.
London, over 8.5 million people. Most don't really know us, they just know we're here, helping them sleep at night, keeping them safe, protected, away from the gangs, the drugs, the knives. But for some, for the 160,000 we arrest, they don't sleep so easy. We're the first through the door, catching the thieves, the muggers, the murderers. It can be the hardest job in London. But ask any of us why we do it, and we'll tell you we wouldn't do anything else. Because we're a team, getting it done, dealing with life, death, crime, and its victims. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each one different to the next. It's why we can't wait for our shift to start, and sometimes end. But knowing you're doing good, stopping others do bad, makes you feel proud. Taking care of family, friends, neighbours, London. It's the greatest reason in the world. Do something real. Become a police officer in London's Met. Search Met Police Careers.
I knew that going to uni would be quite difficult for me. I also did not like the idea of having to pay so much money and have so little money coming in. I know a lot of people struggle with the balance of working and trying to go to university at the same time.
As a degree apprentice, I'm getting the same level degree, a bachelor's in engineering. It just takes a year longer, but it's all funded by Ford.
Having an apprenticeship where I'm paid to learn and I get qualifications in engineering which could push me to a degree was just the perfect balance for me. We learn on the job, we learn off the job. It's always so different, and it's just so exciting.
So I'm coming out with 4 years of experience, a similar degree to what I would have been doing anyway, and that 4 years of experience, that as well as getting paid, but that 4 years of valuable experience that pretty much all employers look for when you come out of uni.
Hello and welcome to Race to Your Career.
I suppose the best thing about this industry is how helpful everyone is and how everyone wants you to succeed.
Horse spars, and I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I mean, take away the idea of cucumbers on eyes.
How many traineeships or apprenticeships are available?
We offer around 250 what I would call horse-facing apprenticeships.
Working in it, you see how many different careers that it can take you in. And
like it's a nice place to be, you know, and just kind of letting people know that you can come into this industry quite easily and you are going to be welcome.
Every day is an opportunity to grow. The new experiences that offer a taste of the future to come. Support others by sharing your experience.
Thank you so much, Mira. I really learned a lot.
My pleasure. That's how we grow every day.
Knowing that along the way, it's about the connections you make. gives you the drive and the focus to do your best work. And that shapes you into being the best you can be. Make it an opportunity. Grow every day.
Mondelez International.
When I left university, I was out of ideas of what I really wanted to do. So then I kept chatting to some of my friends who had served or are currently serving in the Royal Air Force as well, and their job sounded quite fun, different and enjoyable. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a aircraft technician avionics on 47 Squadron, Hercules C-130J, and I've been in the Air Force for 4.5 years now. So my role as an aircraft technician avionics is to look after all the electrical systems on the aircraft, including all the power, communications, navigation, radar and defensive systems. My phase 1 training actually was a bit easier than I expected it to be. I expected it to be more strict, more disciplined, more shouting, but actually all they wanted to see was hard work, discipline and teamwork, getting the most out of you, making you prepared to finishing and then coming and being an asset to the Air Force afterwards. And then my phase 2 training was probably a bit harder than I expected. I had no aircraft background before I started, so having to learn everything was from scratch was difficult at times, but with the work I put in, maybe a couple of hours a night after my lessons, I actually got quite good marks in my phase 2 and 3 training. You get the training given to you for free and you're also getting paid a full wage at that time as well. So for the amount of technical training we are given and the amount we are paid, really is second to none. So my advice, don't say no, just take everything you can get. Take everything you can get from the organisation, because there's so much which people don't make the most of. And if you do, your career will be a lot more fulfilling.
Hello, my name's Jamie. I'm a level 6 civil engineer apprentice, and I decided to not go to uni because I enjoy on-the-job learning and practical learning.
Hi, my name's Maya. I am a level 7 solicitor apprentice, and I chose not to go to university and pursue a legal apprenticeship because it meant that I was able to obtain a law degree, earn a salary from day one, and also obtain work experience that wouldn't be offered to me if I went to university full-time.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a degree apprentice at BT and I'm a Not Going to Uni ambassador.
Hi, my name's Sophie. I'm an ambassador for Not Going to Uni and I'm a business development and marketing apprentice at a global law firm in London.
So my one top tip for getting the most out of your study sessions would be to try different techniques. So this could be from reading to attending lectures, and switch it up a little bit to keep yourself focused and motivated.
So to effectively use your study days, I definitely recommend planning the day, making sure you have breaks. Don't just work the whole day because that's unachievable. So maybe do like an hour and a half, then sit outside for a bit, go on a walk, then come back and do some more work, go have your lunch, those kinds of things.
Hello, my name's Jamie. I'm a level 6 civil engineer apprentice, and I decided to not go to uni because I enjoy on-the-job learning and practical learning.
Hi, my name's Maya. I am a level 7 solicitor apprentice, and I chose not to go to university and pursue a legal apprenticeship because it meant that I was able to obtain a law degree, earn a salary from day one, and also obtain work experience that wouldn't be offered to me if I went to university full-time.
Hello and welcome back to the World of Work Live, all sponsored and all looked after by the wonderful Not Going to Uni. Now we've had some fantastic chats today with many different employers, and we are going to finish off the day with the fantastic Amy, who is from Coach Core. So welcome to you, Amy. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, good. Yes, good. Thank you. Had lots of great sessions as we've been saying.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be kicking off with a great chat with you. So I guess my first question to you is just introduce yourself and your role, what it is that you do at Coach Core.
No problem. So my name's Amy. I'm the National Partnerships Manager at Coach Core Foundation. We are a national charity that uses sport and apprenticeships to essentially offer employment opportunities and education to young people looking to get into sport and physical activity or any other sector, but wanting to kind of use their passion and interest around sport and being active to do that. So, and my role is fairly varied, but I look after a lot of our programs that we run across the country, which we can talk about in a bit, and also work with sort of other partners to look at how else we can offer experiences and opportunities to our apprentices whilst they're with us. So that's my role, and that's a bit about us as well as an organisation.
Great stuff. And could you maybe explain what an apprenticeship is for people at home who might not quite understand what that term is? Because it's quite broad, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so in its simplest sense, an apprenticeship is an opportunity for you to be in full-time employment whilst also working through some training or a qualification. So it's an opportunity to sort of learn on the job and kind of gain new qualifications and experiences whilst you're in employment. So in its kind of in its simplest sense, that's essentially what an apprenticeship is all about and how it works.
Yeah, great stuff. And in terms of apprenticeships, I guess it'd be great to do a quick fire session with you. So can we do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
no worries.
So these are your quick fire questions. First of all, do you get paid?
You do, yes, you do, yeah. So it's essentially it's a full-time job, full-time employment position. So yes, you do get paid.
And how long do they last, these apprenticeships?
It's quite varied. It depends really on the type of qualification and also the level that you do in terms of the apprenticeship. From a Coach Core point of view, we run two specific qualifications that both last around 15 to 18 months. But apprenticeships in general go across a number of different levels, and they can last anywhere up to sort of 5 years, really, depending on the type of qualification that you choose to do.
And how many levels are there in total?
I think there's 6 in total. So they start from, with us at Coach Core, we start at level 2, which is a sort of GCSE equivalent qualification, and also level 3 A-level equivalent that we offer. But they go all the way up to sort of level 6 and 7, which is essentially a degree level or master's level equivalent qualification. So there's a real mix of different types of qualifications and different levels that you can look into.
And do you need any qualifications before becoming an apprentice?
That sort of depends on what sort of qualification, what sort of level and apprenticeship you look to do. Again, for us at Coach Core, we don't really have any requirement for existing qualifications or experience. Certainly with things like maths and English, if you don't already have those at GCSE level, you can work through your functional skills and do them whilst you're with us on the apprenticeship. So that shouldn't be an issue or a barrier. And in terms of, as I say, other qualifications and other levels, they may all have slightly different entry requirements. So it's always worth just going and having a look at the types of areas of interest you might be looking at, and to see if there's any specific requirements around those.
And can you apply if you have a criminal record?
Yes, you can. With Coach Core again, and I'll explain a bit about what we do in terms of who we work with in a moment. It depends on the type of work that you'd be doing with that particular organisation. So again, it's always worth just having a look at what qualifications are available, what apprenticeships are being offered, to then look at what opportunities there might be. But yeah, absolutely, that is again not necessarily a barrier to getting into them.
Great stuff. Well, those are our quick fire questions.
Cool.
I feel like we really put you on the spot.
No problem.
We're now going to show you a short video that will tell you all about what it's like to be with Coach Core.
Hello, my name's Jamie. I'm a level 6 civil engineer apprentice.
Hi, my name's Renee and I'm a former Coach Core apprentice, now sitting on the youth board and working at Aston Villa Foundation. Coach Core is a national charity that uses sports and apprenticeships to help change young lives and help transform communities. We find out-of-work young people and set them on the path to a rewarding career through sports, community apprenticeships, as well as training, a wage, and work as a grassroots coach.
I'd much prefer to be outside, being active, so that's why I chose an apprenticeship instead.
So I was dying to go into the role of sports, so I did college, but it just wasn't for me, sitting down and a lot of handwriting, whereas the apprenticeship route kind of gave me what I was looking for, in the sense of delivering sports whilst learning at the same time.
I got in trouble when I was like 17 years old and I ended up in prison, and that's where I met Ashley Avon. He was doing one of the courses there and I kind of just participated, and now I'm here basically, and I just want to kind of make a difference for myself and just keep going.
The dramatic benefits of sports and activity for physical and mental health are very well known, yet underrepresented groups, people living in deprived areas, women and girls, those from ethnically diverse communities are always still likely to be less active.
I've come in and designed new groups for the young people, so I now run sports leaders, which I started within about a month and a half of my apprentice, which was designed at getting young people into the building, play some sports that they don't get to play every day out in school or even on the streets.
I like helping people, and helping people with disabilities, non-disability, having fun with them, having a laugh.
We recruit apprentices from these underrepresented groups. As relatable role models, they are uniquely able to make their communities healthier and happier places through sport.
I just want to get rid of that misconception for Asian community, for anyone really, that training is a bad thing, and I want to get kids being active as well.
What I do is I make sure that the young people have a safe place to come when it's the sessions. It helps the community a lot because it allows them to not really worry about what the young people in their community are doing, because they know they're going to be safe.
Our focus is on developing young people. If we can take apprentices on and offer them kind of gainful employment and more opportunities, then that's a good thing for us.
We raise funds to support these apprentices on their placement with a wide range of employers across the country. With the addition of young and passionate persons to help their workforce, organisations that employ a Coach Core apprentice are able to grow and have even more of a positive impact on the communities that they serve.
Apprentices have transformed our organisation. It's something we've never done before, but it's something we've talked about for years. We have this idea of kind of youth leadership in our community and bringing young people up to be the leaders in their own community. The Coach Core programme was perfect for that.
Something I was searching for in my work life was meaning, and I needed purpose, and I feel like through Coach Core I found my purpose. A lot of the kids we work with have gone through so much more than I ever did. For them to have gone through everything that they went through and being able to open up, I feel like that helps me find my purpose in like working with young people, definitely.
If you'd like to support our work or simply find out more about what we do, you can find us online at coachcore.org.uk.
So Amy, what is it that makes Coach Core different?
Well, hopefully you've seen a bit from the video. What we do as an organisation is essentially bring lots of other organisations together to employ young people as apprentices on the programme. Those apprentices go out and deliver sport and physical activity to local communities. So whether that's going and working in a youth and community club, whether that's working with a professional football club as an example, it could be working with a charity to essentially use sport and physical activity to get people more active, get them involved in something positive, hopefully move people away from antisocial behaviour or inactive behaviours. And we do that, as I say, by working with loads of different employer partners. So apprentices get the chance to be employed by one of those organisations, but might then get the chance to get involved in other events and experiences, different training opportunities with a real broad mix of employers from across the sport and physical activity sector. So hopefully really broadening their experience and getting lots of new opportunities at the same time.
Yeah, and do you have examples of these opportunities?
Yeah, we've got loads. So actually just last week, some of our apprentices in London went to support what's known as the National Junior Indoor Rowing Championship. So there's loads and loads of kids that come down to the Copper Box in London, and some of our apprentices went along to volunteer on the day and deliver some activities and talk to them also about apprenticeships and what that involves. We've had apprentices go and support with the Cricket World Cup in the past and some of the activities around that. We had a big tenure event also at the Copper Box a few months ago, and some of our apprentices came down and supported with delivering activities there. So there's loads and loads of different events and experiences like that we can get our apprentices involved in.
Great. And what are the kind of expectations of your apprentices?
So, I mean, essentially, they will be employed full-time, so with all of those different organisations that I mentioned. So there are some expectations linked to essentially being an employee. So apprentices will be working for around about 30 hours a week. They will be asked to go out and support the delivery of sport and physical activity sessions in their communities. That might involve supporting other coaches to do that, or it might involve planning and delivering and leading their own sessions. Their working week might also involve doing some kind of monitoring and evaluation and some admin type tasks. It might involve looking for new funding opportunities to develop new sport and physical activity sessions in the community. So there's lots and lots of different kind of responsibilities that apprentices will be working on over the course of their working week, essentially. But yeah, essentially it is an employment opportunity. So employers will have kind of different requirements and expectations of the apprentices that they're supporting.
Yeah, so it's hard to say almost what a typical day-to-day or working week could look like.
Yeah, it could be really varied depending on the employer that are, the apprentices are based with. The qualifications that we offer are all around kind of community activation, getting people active, understanding why people might not be active and some of the barriers and challenges that people are facing. So the qualification is quite broad, but yeah, the different activities that an apprentice might be doing day to day might really vary depending on the type of employer that they're working with and the type of sessions and activities that employer delivers.
And when it comes to the more academic side of the apprenticeship, what sort of things do you cover and what will people be learning?
So, as I say, currently we've got two qualifications that we offer. So one is called Community Activator Coach, and that is very much about understanding the needs of a community, really building kind of relationships with people in the community and working with them to change their behaviours and attitudes towards physical activity and sport and generally leading a healthier lifestyle. And then the other qualification is a Community Sport and Health Officer qualification, which is fairly similar, but also looks at how you can really build kind of partnerships in your local community. So that might be working with local authorities, it might be working with the police, it might be working with housing associations to use sport and physical activity to engage people in positive activity. And it might involve, as I say, sort of looking for funding opportunities to develop new activities and sessions. In terms of how we deliver the qualifications, so we work with a training provider who come in and deliver all of the educational side on our behalf. And what we try and do is bring all of our apprentices together in each of our programme areas to take part in that education as a collective group, usually in a practical way. So we come together in a facility that allows the apprentices to kind of deliver sessions to each other and work through the qualification in a really kind of hands-on practical way rather than sitting in a school or college type setting and having to scribble out loads of notes. So we try and do it in a really practical way and get the apprentices involved in like delivering activities to each other so that hopefully it's a bit more inspiring and engaging than just sitting and writing for hours on end.
Yeah, well that's great as well, because it's one thing to be able to write about something that you're interested in, but to be able to teach it to others and regurgitate it in your own words is really important life skills, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that's a key part of the apprenticeship. It's about being able to kind of inspire others and share your passion and your interest about being active and getting involved in sport and physical activity and really having a positive influence on other young people or children or other members of the community as well. So that's a really key part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's great. And in terms of playing sports, do you have to play a specific sport to be able to apply to a specific apprenticeship?
No, you don't. So the qualifications that the apprenticeship that we use through the apprenticeship are quite broad. So they're not specifically tailored to a certain type of sport or activity. We have various different programs that are running across the country, and each of those might have between sort of 8 and 12 different employer partners, and each of those employers might focus in on a specific sport. So we might be working with a football club, for example, or a rugby club, or we might be working with an organisation that uses sport and physical activity to support mental health, for example. So they're all very different in terms of what they offer. And through those employers, you will get access to qualifications that are specific to that sport or activity. So you can learn kind of on the job in terms of what you need for that particular role, but you don't have to have that kind of knowledge or experience in order to apply in the first place.
Yeah.
Essentially just a passion for being active and enjoying sport.
Yeah, that's really good to know that you can start just purely from having this passion,
Yeah.
this passion for playing sport, which I know a lot of people in this country do. A lot of young people really enjoy sport. So is there one sport that seems to be more popular for the subject of the apprenticeship? Are there people who, they really want the football apprenticeships? Do they want the netball ones?
Football's always a really popular one, but to be honest, it really varies across the country because we're working with so many different employers and they're doing some really amazing work in local communities. A lot of our apprentices come to us with a kind of preferred sport or a sport that they really enjoy doing, but actually when they get to meet the different employers as part of the recruitment process or they get to hear a bit more about them, they actually think, oh, that would be a great opportunity. I'm going to go and see if I can speak to that employer and get a slightly different view of the opportunities available. So you don't have to be, particularly experienced or have loads and loads of prior knowledge of a sport to apply. You can kind of get that on the apprenticeship itself. So it's a great opportunity to kind of broaden your horizons, really.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the different skills that are developed with different companies and different places where you're going to work. What kind of skills can people expect to walk away with?
Oh, there's loads. I think you probably see it in the video that we showed earlier, or possibly the one that's coming up. Coaching and being involved in sport, it just gives you so many different skills. You're going to be able to build relationships with different people in the community, really build different communication skills to know how best to build those relationships with people. Being a coach, it really requires you to kind of think on your feet and be adaptable. You're never quite sure what you're going to come across when you turn up to a session, so you're always able to sort of adapt and change things as you go. There's a real skill set around sort of thinking creatively, thinking differently about getting people involved in sport and physical activities. So you're always thinking of new ideas and things like that. So there's loads and loads of different skills that you can pick up from being on the apprenticeship. And if you enjoy being active, you enjoy sport, it's a great way of getting into that as a career option as well.
That's great. And when someone finishes this apprenticeship, what are their next steps? What would they do next?
Again, it can be quite varied. So some of our apprentices continue in sort of full-time coaching roles with their original employer partners. Some use the kind of skills and experiences that they've got to progress into a different route within the sports sector. So as an example, we've got one of our apprentices who has recently started working at one of the county FAs. He actually had his apprenticeship at one county FA. He's now recently moved into to another, working in a slightly different role around sort of inclusion and disability work, so getting people with disabilities into football. So that's one example of a kind of sort of more sport for development type route. Some of our apprentices move into roles in leisure or in youth work. Some of our young people have gone on specifically to become qualified as youth workers. So again, it's really broad and varied, but there's probably a common theme around working with people, working with young people, making a difference in the community. If you're kind of interested and passionate about that area of work or that sort of thing, then this apprenticeship is great to kind of lead you down that path.
Yeah. That's great. And in terms of your most memorable experience working for Coach Corps, what would you say is your best moment yet?
Oh, there's been loads. I think I've been at Coach Corps now for about 5 years, and in one of my first weeks, I was down at the ski centre in Hemel Hempstead with a couple of our apprentices who were teaching me how to snowboard for the first time, which was great. I mean, it gave me a great insight into what they were doing day to day in their apprenticeship. It was slightly embarrassing for me because I was terrible, but that was a great kind of introduction for me to Coach Corps and what we do and what we're all about. So that's got to be up there. We do events, and we've done events sort of every year that I've been there, really. So we always have an annual awards ceremony to kind of celebrate what our apprentices have achieved, and anyone that's involved in Coach Corps, whether it's our employers, whether it's our learning coaches, whether it's the young people themselves. That's always a fantastic event to kind of share their journey and find out how they've progressed through the apprenticeship. So that's always great fun. And we did a big event I mentioned earlier down at the Copper Box in London in October, where we delivered lots of different activities. We had some of our apprentices working with England Boxing who were there doing some coaching skills around boxing for the attendees, which was great. So yeah, there's been loads. There's so many different experiences, and it's great fun. Every day is different. So yeah, it's a great role.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're very fulfilled, and you're really inspired by people that you meet and you get to work with as well.
Absolutely.
And that journey of watching them start the apprenticeship and then obviously come to an end and see where they're going to go next.
Yeah,
it's been really exciting.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, everyone is so different. All of our young people, all of our apprentices that we work with, they've all got a very different story to tell, a very different journey, and they're all just involved in sport, passionate about wanting to make a difference. So it's great to kind of support them on that journey to where they want to get to next. So
absolutely. And I think we've got a video coming up next,
great,
which is going to be all about some of the apprentices' personal journeys and also their experience of being on the course. So let's have a look.
Believe and achieve. I feel like that's one of the early ones that I learned when I was young. So I feel like that's always stayed in me. If you believe, you can achieve your goals. Well, my name is Nana Darkwa. I'm currently working for Red Bull Foundation. I've been put on the Coach Corps apprenticeship as well. And yeah, I play football, semi-professional, playing for a team called East Warwick at the moment. And I really enjoy doing my coaching as well, and youth work. That's kind of my forte and what I'm doing right now. So yeah. What inspired me? I feel like me being around sports the majority of my life, I feel like that's the real key element for me saying, let me go into coaching, because I was playing football, I was playing for Southampton, the academies, and I was playing at Blackpool. So I've been playing at a high level in football. That's what I've been doing, and to come out of that and I didn't get a contract and whatnot. I was looking at different avenues and where to go, and being around sport, I feel like it'd be a perfect idea for me to help others in coaching them into sport. So I feel like that's the main kind of reason why. I feel like my current employer right now, Red Bull, is really supportive of my football career as well. Like, I'm still actually playing my football career, I'm still trying to make it pro. With stuff like, if I've got a random game on a Wednesday, I can just be like to them, talk to them and say, I've got this game, can we do something, can we shift around my work? And then they just do it like that, and they really are supportive, and they know that I do play football and they really want me to do well in it. I've had trouble with a lot of injuries. I've done my ACL before when I was about 17, and that was a hard one to take personally, because I was like around the first team at that time, and that was like mentally it was really hard. Yeah, I hope to think I'd be a role model, but yeah, I would say I feel like if you're a coach, I feel like that is one of the things you need to be. You need to be a role model to kids, and I feel like I do I hope I do inspire them, and I'm a role model to them, because I try and have not just, there's one thing about having a coach relationship or having that relationship with a child to be able for them to be able to trust you, and I feel like I do bring that, and especially with kids that aspire to be footballers and stuff like that, they kind of look at my story and stuff like that, and they get like, wow, this is cool. So yeah, I feel like I do. I feel like what next for me is I just want to continue my coaching experiences. I want to be the best coach I can be to help out younger people than me. I feel like what I got when I was younger is a good thing that I want to give that to others now.
So Amy, we've seen a little bit about how people have been getting on the course.
Yeah.
How would they go about applying if they want to join the apprenticeship?
So I briefly mentioned it earlier, but we've got programmes across the whole of the UK, and they all start and end at different points in time. So at any point in the year, we might be recruiting for new apprentices in a given area. So generally what would happen is once we've got all of our employer partners together in one of our areas, we would launch an advert, it would go live, and it goes live on all of our social channels. It goes live on different jobs boards, on the National Apprenticeship Service, so you can have a look on some of those different platforms if you're interested. You can also have a look on, I mentioned our social channels, so on our website, which I'm sure we'll put up later, coachcorps.org.uk, and we're on places like TikTok and Instagram as well, so I'm sure we can share all of those details at the end. So all of the roles go live on those platforms, so if you are interested in finding out a bit more or seeing where our roles are live, then you can find them all on there.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, we are going to put the website in the comment box for you, so you'll be able to see that. And of course, we'll add all the details later on if anything's been missed out. So that's great.
Yeah.
Also, how old does someone need to be part of the apprenticeship scheme?
So you have to be 16 when you start the apprenticeship, and we don't really have an upper age limit, but we work generally with people up to around 24, 25 on the apprenticeships that we run. But yeah, you have to be 16. You can't be in full-time education or employment in order to access the particular apprenticeships that we're offering. But if you fit that criteria and you're interested, as I say, go on to the different platforms and have a look at the different roles that we're promoting or that are live at that point in time, and you can find out a bit more about what the specific employers are offering as well, and then you'll get a bit more of a sense of how the apprenticeship works for that particular organisation and what your day-to-day would look like.
Great stuff. And in terms of where is Coach Corps based? Where do people need to go in order to find you?
So we are actually based as a charity in London, but as I say, we've got programmes all over. So we've got programmes in Leeds, in Leicester, in Middlesbrough, Manchester, and then sort of down south in London, Essex, Bristol. So all over. So as I say, it depending on where you're based, go onto our website, have a little look at those locations, have a look at when they're recruiting, and then you'll find out a bit more information about when we're next looking to launch vacancies in those areas.
Yeah, and there'll be options available for people sort of all around the country. You just got to find your next big town or city, I guess.
That's it, and also if you go onto the website, or if you find us on some of those channels and you can't find an area that you're based, if we're not currently running an apprenticeship in that area, then you can also register your interest on our website. So you can send us an email, send us a note to say where you're based and that you're looking for an opportunity, and we'll get back to you to let you know if we've got any plans to launch there, or we can also just keep you updated as and when new programmes launch in case they might also be of interest.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, and I imagine you've got a very responsive team who are always answering the questions and very supportive.
Yeah, we get a lot of different inquiries from people all over the country who are asking a little bit more about apprenticeships, asking about how our particular apprenticeship works, and also the different locations, as I say. So so we're always keeping an eye out for people getting in touch.
And in terms of levels of the apprenticeships, what are people looking at?
So for Coach Corps specifically, we have the two levels. So level 2, which is the community activator coach, and level 3, which is the community sport and health officer. If you're looking at apprenticeships more broadly, as I say, there's levels all the way up to sort of degree and master's levels, so you can have a look at those. If you're looking specifically in sport and physical activity, our qualifications tend to go to around level 4 at the moment, but there's always plans for kind of new qualifications to be approved. So it's always just worth keeping an eye out of what's out there in terms of apprenticeships in sport, and then if Coach Corps is of interest, then obviously keeping an eye on what we're doing as well.
Yeah, so that kind of brings me on to my final question then. If someone's thinking of applying, what should be their next step? Is it just looking out for these opportunities, as you say, on your website?
Yeah, a few options. You can either sort of look out on the website and some of our social channels. You can get in touch with us via the website to find out a bit more, and we can get back to you with some more information. So, but I would encourage anyone who's interested to just go and have a look at what we're doing across our social channels, and that'll give you a bit more of an idea of how Coach Corps works, what the programme looks like, and also how to apply if you are interested and if we've got roles available.
Yeah. And in a couple of words, how would you say your experience has been at Coach Corps? Final words from you. Anything that you feel like people should know before we wrap up for today?
I think if you're interested in sport, if sport's your thing, if you're not keen on going down the university route or the academic route, and you're more of a practical, hands-on person, you just love kind of being out there, being active, making a difference to people in your communities, then Coach Corps is an ideal programme for you, and apprenticeships are an ideal option. You get the opportunity, as I say, to work with lots of different employers from across the sports sector. You get access to loads of different opportunities. Coach Corps provides lots of additional kind of workshops and webinars that can support you not just in sport and coaching, but also in terms of kind of professional development as well. So yeah, if you're interested in kind of making a difference and you enjoy being active, you want to be in a role that's really hands-on and allows you the option to work with loads of different people, then it's a great option for you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Amy.
You're
It's
welcome.
been great chatting to you.
And you.
then in all about Coach Core. I mean, I feel like so many people are going to resonate with this at home. They're going to want to get involved. So yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on everything that you and the team do.
Thank
It's
you.
been great. So we're now going to wrap up. This is the final event of the day. So I guess all we have left to say is thank you so much for everyone who's been watching at home or at school, wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you, of course, to the team here. You've all been amazing. We've had a great time, haven't we?
We have. It's been
all
great.
of the guests, we've been having a great time. So hopefully this has inspired you. We do also have some more things coming up for you in National Careers Week, and of course all of this is going to be available for you in the recordings and the highlights on our website. So don't forget to check out notgoingtouni.co.uk. And yeah, we're going to be on pretty much all the socials. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure to host for you here today, and take care and see you very soon.